Today's podcast is sponsored by Antler Cold Brew Coffee. What makes this stuff special? In a word, caffeine. Numerous studies have shown that having caffeine before a workout can improve a host of things, including endurance, focus, power, and fat burning. This is old news, but in recent years, other studies have even shown that ingesting caffeine the way nature intended in coffee is more effective than with pharmaceutical refined caffeine. This is attributed to the synergies that caffeine and all the antioxidants in coffee have when they work together. I've linked some of these studies in the show notes on my site. So enough of the science behind this stuff, let me tell you about it on a more practical level. First, you simply smash a shot of cold brew coffee concentrate pre-workout in your face and get a caffeine buzz that rivals some of the most hardcore pre-workout supplements out there. Caffeine is completely legal in all sports, and this product is ideal for guys who are looking to perform on a high level but want to keep their stacks natural and know what they are taking. We've been given some samples that we'll be taking during this episode, so if we end up grappling in the studio when we should be discussing more important things, just bear with us as this is experimental. If you guys would like to make an order for some awesome Antler Cold Brew pre-workout or some of their other products, make your way over to their website at www.antlercoffee.co.za. If you use the code BIGAL, you'll get a 10% discount on any order placed with them. So hurry on up, get over to www.antlercoffee.co.za and get 10% off any order.
The Big Al Podcast with your host, Al Bishop, unfiltered and uncut.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I have a jiu-jitsu based podcast here today. Two fine gentlemen sitting in front of me. We have David Aghion from Gracie Bar Ilovo. Black belt all the way from Brazil, and Mr. James Sachs. Welcome, guys. Thanks very much for joining me, and welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Dave. Just a quick introduction, how you fit into the South African Jiu-jitsu community, and a little bit of your background.
So I started teaching here about 4.5 years ago, and then I used to teach in Glen Hazel. I moved my school to Ilovo recently. I came with my coach Rodrigo for the first time. He's from Gracie Bar in Curitiba. Some guys, Curitiba is my city, by the way.
Sure.
And then some guys contacted him to come for seminars, and they ended up wanted him to send somebody here to come and teach. And then I came in. Now I'm here, the podcast.
Cool. And James, just over to you there, man. Quick one.
Okay, yeah, I'm a very controversial figure in South African Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I hold a brown belt underneath Richie Kwan and Gracie Bar Sunninghill. Basically, yeah, Dave and I met 4 or 5 years ago. As soon as he arrived, he arrived, I was like, "There's this new Brazilian brown belt at the time that came into one of my competitions, and we didn't have enough people, and they were like, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Dave? The guy tried to fucking Ezekiel me, man. I was like, this guy's doing my own moves on me. What's going on? So yeah, that's pretty much how David and I met, and then yeah, just continued training and becoming, friends over the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay. One of the main points we want to talk about is obviously the jiu-jitsu in South Africa as it stands, and you guys are two pieces of the cog in the system that really makes everything tick. Is that correct? You're two big pieces of South African Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Looking at the federation, obviously, how do you guys fit in, and what is it that you do there exactly?
Okay, I'll pick this one up. The South African Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation actually started in Vryheid about 3 years ago.
Vryheid?
Yeah, Vryheid, where David and I were sitting in a Land Rover having a discussion, thinking...
We went to a comp there, and the idea kind of popped, because it was kind of always up for grabs. There was no federation happening. So yeah, and then...
Then we started talking and decided, look, we needed to put our heads down, have a lot of common interests, so jiu-jitsu, we're both Jewish, we're both part of the same community. So we thought, what needs to be done in terms of bringing jiu-jitsu community together, because unfortunately over the last 100 years, 120 years, however long it's been going, there's a lot of segregation in throughout the communities, and this stems down from our actual alliances and our base federations. So Alliance hates GB, and GB hates this one and this. So basically there's a lot of conflict within our actual affiliations over in Brazil, and David will touch more on that in the past. But we try to break the community in South Africa down to a situation where we need to expand our sport by being a community. And the only way we can do that is if we all work together. So what we did is we decided to, sit down with some of the top, practitioners at the time, and try to, become one as a proper federation, a proper organization, something that will generate money back for the sport, that can buy all of the necessary equipment, to host, high-level competition, because it's what high-level competition in this country is non-existent.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of, let's say, even this first competition ever that I met James when I first arrived here, it's like the competitions here, they were small, and it wasn't like official sort of thing. So it was, the clubs used to host their comps, and then other clubs would support, but they wouldn't take off, because the guys weren't also investing so much back into the sport, because not if the bad or it's right or wrong, but that mentality wasn't set here. But me, because I learned and I trained jiu-jitsu in Brazil, and for me it was let's say I was born in my jiu-jitsu life already with a competition scene and with things happening. So I moved here, and I wanted that for myself, because I enjoy competing, and also for my students. And I could see that wasn't gonna be a long-term thing, and the competitions wouldn't pick up. Also, there were quite a few problems with refereeing and establishing which rule set was gonna be used. So it was kind of I don't know, me and James
It
getting
was
together.
the Wild West, man.
Yeah, it was it was the Wild West.
Yeah, 100%.
Of competitions. But then we saw some guys were doing good things, but even then we said okay, we can even raise the bar and set a federation and have a league and maybe make teams, send guys overseas, whatever. So things started growing, and now it's kind of established, but we're still trying to bring everyone together, because there's a lot of it's a big country, so it's hard to make people travel, but the idea is to have competitions all over the country and try to make people travel and put together, because it's still a small community, and it won't grow as fast as we want to grow if we don't have a competition scene. It's not the only side of jiu-jitsu, but a competition helps to market the sport, to create interest, to put the country in the map. When we send guys to overseas competitions, people can see. So all this is part of the growth of the sport as well. I think that's the big difference between what's happening now and what was happening 4 or 5 years ago. Right?
Okay. Definitely. Just on that overseas, you guys have mentioned a lot of interesting points. The one that came out quite immediately was generating income to put back into the sport. So it's a twofold question. The first one is, how are you investing back into the sport? And secondly, with people going overseas, is that an aspect of generating back into the sport? And how are the guys getting overseas? Obviously, with let's say private sports associations in the country, financially it becomes a big problem, because you're on your own, regardless if you're representing South Africa anywhere in the world. 9 times out of 10, if you're not major sports, cricket, soccer, rugby, nobody really cares. So you're almost entirely on your own to generate that income. So how are guys going overseas? I know, James, you were recently overseas. You were part of a team that went to UAE. Are you 100% financially on your own, or is the SABJJF association trying to get to the point where they can financially assist guys to go overseas?
Look, I mean, the South African Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation's long-term goal is to have a base fund where we can eventually send people fully funded overseas.
Okay.
It's going to take some time,
Sure.
of course. The thing about the South African Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm going to be honest with you, I first of all forked out a shitload of cash to get all of the equipment here to start the first competitions, and we basically generate our funds from sponsors, from competitions, and the way that we do it is that the people involved in our sport, myself, David, the guys on the media side, the guys on the reffing side, we all do it for free.
Sure.
We do not take 1 cent out of the federation itself. We reinvest after every single tournament. So basically, you will see that when we started, there were the medals. We didn't have funds for medals, so we decided to do plastic medals. Then the next competition, we had a little bit of funding because we made some from the first competition. We invested in the medals, and we brought an international standard of medal to South Africa that people have not seen in the past. And to be honest with you, when you are a practitioner who competes, but I chase shinies. So
Sure.
the bigger and the more
Magpies,
shiny they are, I don't really
gold
care.
digger.
I'm a gold digger straight up. I like my shinies. The more shinies I have in the long run, it's going to be beneficial to myself as a practitioner and beneficial to myself as a coach eventually one day.
Sure.
So basically, what we do is fortunately, I'm in a position where I have an established business, which allows me to have time and finance to self-fund myself.
Sure.
But it also allows me to put something back into the sport, which gave me the initial, funding. So basically, what we do is we've got a fund. It's sitting at about 40,000 rand at the moment, which we keep for reinvesting into tournaments. So every single tournament, you will see one aspect of our tournament get better.
Sure.
Yeah, we
After-
always get together after a competition and we see, okay, this was good, this we can improve, okay, we need a new banner, maybe a better podium. So every competition, it gets better. It's like a long term thing, but we're not gonna like settle, this is enough.
This is the standard,
okay,
sure.
now let's keep it this way, because there will always be things to do. There's like streaming, there's medals, banners, better prizes, whatever you name it. There's so much room to grow. And like James said, in a way, at least financially, we're not interested in making money out of the federation. Of course, I'm sure we all have some kind of we take some kind of benefit from doing it. We're not just doing because really nice guys. I am, but but let's say in my point of view, if I can help grow jiu-jitsu in South Africa and make more popular, I can ride the jiu-jitsu wave because I have my own school and I'll have more people coming to train, and it's the sport grows, the schools also grow, and that's important for everybody to understand, because we're competing with each other and it's like a proper rivalry, but in a way it's everybody is benefiting from, and it's not
everyone's got the same end goal.
Yeah, it's not like a rivalry we hate each other, this club, but it's no, these guys are good, we need to beat them all. They have it creates that thing, and we all going. Some guys haven't really joined the let's say the train yet. How to say
the
that?
community. Well, look,
but they will come along, because it'll come to a point that a competition being a SABJJF competition, it will speak for itself. People will know what they get. You pay I don't know, 300, 350 rand for a competition. You're gonna have good medals, you're gonna fight on time, the little things that make a difference, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a product that we offering, because people are paying us to do, so we try to do the best, and it won't just stop here, but we'll still be talking about this in a long time.
Sure.
From today. Like,
Sure. Just on that point there, Dave, it was obviously I entered my first competition now, the last one in Joburg, and like there was a lot of things that stood out to me straight away, you know, because obviously for a guy going first time, never mind the actual competition, you don't really know what to expect when you walk in the doors, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
you kind of like, you know, you've seen pictures and you've seen guys, you've spoken to guys, but you don't actually really know what's going to go on. And I must be honest, I took my hats off to everybody. I left there, like, you even asked me, like, how are you feeling? I'm like, look, Monday I'm going straight back to the gym and we start again, you know?
Yeah.
But the whole, like, ethos amongst everybody was really good. You know, people are all talking and interacting, and, you know, there's, like you say, there's that rivalry, but it's all sportsmanlike and it's all
Yeah.
fun. I think in the end it ended up with, it was us and a couple of FFM guys, like, giving a bit of banter back and forth and having a little go at each other, which was awesome.
Oh, Gracie Barra signing or Gracie Barra Lover, that's going to happen forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same
It's a
time,
jiu-jitsu
like,
That's a
Derby,
jiu-jitsu
yeah.
thing, bro. Yeah.
Sure, it is. It's a derby at the end of the day. But like, everything ran on time. Everything was extremely professional. Everything was clean, neat, and professional. You know what I mean? And like, if you guys say to me, you're still striving for a standard, I've already seen a great standard, because I walked in, I was like, geez, this is seriously well run. You know what I mean? This is a well-oiled machine. Like, everything's just operating. You know what I mean? And there was no problems. There was no hiccups. There was no delays and stuff. Like, obviously, I mean, behind the
yeah,
scenes.
what you guys see in front is totally different to what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, there's still
Sure.
so much.
But this is nice to hear, because let's say that's all we can do in a way to keep the standard high, because
Yeah.
now whoever goes to a competition and they rock up and it's not quite the same, they will notice, but before didn't know any better.
Sure.
So like, you could put like a couple mats on a parking lot and like make the guys sit there for like 5-6 hours, and then they'll have a row and oh, okay, that's a competition. Like,
Sure.
but now it's like, okay, where are my big medals? Like, oh, why no banner? Like, oh, how come there's no photography?
Sure.
And you know, you see, it's good in a way. Like, we make people spoiled, but we want them to be spoiled because it's out of respect. Like, I think because me and James, we love competing and we competitors ourselves. We can be in everyone's shoes, and
Yeah.
it's like you have to have a lot of respect for the guy. For example, the schedule thing, it might like not look like a big problem, but it's like, if you in a competition, is a different mentality. You need to be like in a kind of like a state of like readiness. Like, you need to be good to go. And then they say like, okay, you're fighting at 12, and then like you end up
build up,
fighting at
yeah.
like 4 p.m. So it's like
it
an
kills
extra
you, man.
4 hours of you like
Sure.
having to deal with that, and that makes the experience worse. Like, I've had like I don't know, like, took like one of my young students once to a competition. Like, he came with his dad. We sat there for like
The whole
I
day,
don't know,
man.
the whole day. The kid had like a 30-second match, and
That's
that
it,
was
finish
it,
it,
man.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
his dad was super cross, and you know, so it's respect, man. You go to a restaurant and you pay money for food, and somebody brings you something that you don't want, you send back. So why should be different in a competition, right?
Yeah.
You need to treat the guys well.
No, 100%. Look, I mean, again, David and I have been very fortunate in our lives where we have been to, you know, worlds, we've been to mondials, we've been to high level competitions. So I've seen, you know, pretty much what goes on there. So we can bring it back to South Africa, where the guys have been, you know, neglected.
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, a lot of these guys will throw a competition on the weekend for some nose candy. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of mentality that we want to break. So by, you know, creating a federation that we can put forth a product that's second to none, you know, it's out of respect for the guys that we do this with. It's got nothing more. And, you know, that follows through in the way and the passion that we do it with. You know, that's why on the internet, you know, I'm so passionate.
Sure.
It's purely because I want the very best for South Africa. I mean, we've just recently had a world champion, you know, and how many newspapers know about that?
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, it's-
You know, Martino da Silva did something that South Africans have never done before. He went over, he displayed an unbelievable technical jiu-jitsu, and he beat everybody in his division.
Sure.
Now, with regards to that, Martino is one of the top in the country, sure. But my brother, there are so many of us out there that can do that.
Sure.
You know, and that's what SABJJF are trying to do, trying to get as many people overseas into the big competitions, into the big tournaments, to experience, to see, what jiu-jitsu is all about in the world. It's one of the fastest growing sports out there at the moment. Everybody's talking about MMA this, MMA that. Basis of MMA, you need jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
Conor McGregor's just proven that shit. Let's be honest. You need a full game, and jiu-jitsu is the basis. Wrestling is a great sport, but jiu-jitsu is taking over. I'm sorry, and that's what we need to give back to.
It's not a biased opinion at all. So it's
no, it's there, man. You got no jiu-jitsu. I mean, have a look at John Wick 2. The guy pulled a triangle, whipped out a gun, and blew the guy's brains out. But the triangle was the basis of the setup, So jiu-jitsu is the basis of all now, bro. Yeah, let's be honest. When it hits mainstream, we know it's there.
Cool. That's a nice point for us to pick up next. Let's look at jiu-jitsu in itself. It's a strange question I'll put to you fellas. How do you explain jiu-jitsu to somebody that has no idea? They've never heard of it, never seen it. The first time you say jiu-jitsu to somebody, they ask you, what is that?
Death cuddling.
And they go.
Death cuddling. Definitely a death cuddle.
Usually I think I try to say it's kind of like judo and wrestling, because those two are more popular, especially in South Africa, but more of the groundwork and with submissions. So you see locks. I try to, I'm sure that most of what I'm saying, it's that person is not understanding, but try to say it's a ground way of fighting with a bit of self-defense. It's it's usually for example, I get calls from people interested in training. And what I tell them, most of the people is come to a few classes, because there's no way that I can put in words what it is. You come for a week and you're gonna know what's about, you know if you want to do it or not. But I can try to sell you on it. But if you come one day and you get squashed and I don't know, something happens and you're no man, this is not for me. You're claustrophobic. I don't know. So the best way to do it, to find out, it's come and do it. I don't think there's a better way.
You see, the thing about jiu-jitsu, man, it's a different situation. I've done the judo, I've done the kung fu, I've done all of that, and with that, you go to the class, you leave the class, and that's it. With jiu-jitsu has become a lifestyle.
There's a big thing about a jiu-jitsu culture, and it's different to everything else, from the grading to the relationships to the way you act and you behave at the gym. It's it's a thing of its own. Really.
Look, we've got an ethos second to none. At the end of the day, we're about upliftment and about lifting people up as human beings. There's never going to be one club that that whole Cobra Khan sort of situation, where somebody's beating up somebody else. It doesn't work like that. Not in the jiu-jitsu culture. We all roll at each other's gyms, every weekend. David's either at Dennis's gym, I'm at David's gym, David's at Sunninghill. At the end of the day, it's one big happy family doing jiu-jitsu. However, we do have a competition side of things which forces the jiu-jitsu to grow. But in saying, how to explain jiu-jitsu to somebody, jiu-jitsu it's lifestyle. It's something that's gonna take every single bit of your ego, and it's gonna
your time,
it's gonna take everything.
Really setting it.
It takes everything. So once you get invested into the sport itself, you can go anywhere around the world, my friend, and I've experienced this. And you walk into a jiu-jitsu gym, no matter what language you speak, if you can roll and you can get on with the guys on the mats, I promise you now, those same guys are going to pull you off the mats and they're going to make sure you're having a good time.
100%.
No matter where you go.
Yeah, that's very true, man.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things now. Every time I look at going somewhere on holiday, the very next thing I Google is if there's a jiu-jitsu gym nearby.
Yeah,
all the guys.
It is like that.
Well, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of ran around for the last 3 years. Where are we going on holiday? When's the next competition, rather than
Sure.
So I've been investing investing my own money in order to go get experience overseas. Sure. Regardless, win or lose, it's about experience. That's all it's about. And I promise you now, you roll with these guys, They're gonna look after you. I've met friends in Brazil, London, Dubai, that I'll be friends with for the rest of my life.
Sure. Let's just look at the development side there. You mentioned overseas again. What do you think is hampering the growth of jiu-jitsu in South Africa? You mentioned that maybe it's not growing as fast as you would like. Obviously, you got a personal preference. You want it to go like tomorrow to be happening. But it seems from let's call me the outsider's perspective, especially at a competition, because I think a competition is going to tell you quite a bit of what's really happening on a broad spectrum of clubs and gyms entering into competitions. So it seems to be a pattern of three gyms kind of ruling the roost, if we can say that, and then a couple of smaller guys here and there, but no real big impetus on, like, you haven't got 10 gyms, for example, competing. What is holding that back, do you think?
The sport's not big enough yet.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, look, it starts with an inception. Once that inception has been dropped, it, as the movie says, it starts a ripple effect. And then eventually, the more you do, the more stones you throw in it, the bigger ripple's going to happen. So now, there's never been in the past that ethos of getting together or coming together. So my quibble, well, what's preventing it, to be honest with you, is the high-level belts aren't getting involved. Straightforward. When I go to competitions overseas, I see hundreds of black belts, getting on the mat, showing what they can do, regardless, win or lose. It's not about anything like that. It's about displaying your sport. The more high-level guys who get involved in the sport, the guys at the lower levels, they see, oh my God, look at the technical abilities, look at what we can do, look at how we can go. So with regards to what's holding jiu-jitsu back, I think it's not about too many chefs in the pot. There's not enough chefs.
Okay.
Yeah, we need like maybe 1 or 2 generations to flip. Let's say when our current purples, they become black belts, like, we're gonna be in a way different place, because let's say the current purple belts, they kind of have this competition mentality, whereas like the current black belts, because they come from these older times when there used to be so many competitions, also like the community wasn't so like integrated, and maybe there wasn't like so much information in social media and like cross training, so like these guys kind of like, in a way, it makes hard for them to enter and to step up, because they develop like kind of like an aura, like, and now like, oh man, but like if I lose, like that sits in the back of their heads. So it's kind of like we need the new guys, the guys that are used to competing, because let's say, I don't know, maybe I might be wrong, but I think one of the main reasons why the higher belts don't compete, it's because there is a risk of losing, and a lot of them they have businesses and they make a living off jiu-jitsu, and they might think that like, okay, that will affect my business. It's not the guy really like being scared of competing, but like it's kind of like not wanting to lose, like it's bigger than wanting to win. But from my experience, like I know that like if you lose, like you don't, like your students won't leave you, and you feel bad, but like it happens. Everyone that competes know that like you can win, you can lose. Like we've seen the best guys in the planet losing, we've seen them winning, but once we have, let's say, full like divisions, like guys, like then it'll change. But we just need time, because it's the new, let's say, it's the new mindset that it's taking over, and it's pretty much taking over. But we still need, like, I'd say, like, let's say 4 or 5 years, like we're gonna see a lot of black belt divisions, and that's nice, because also, for example, a lot of these guys, they have students and they have gyms. So if, for example, I'm going to a competition and I'm competing, like a lot of my students will compete as well, because they're gonna be like, oh man, like,
lead by example,
coach is entering, and like let's go, like let's support. And so if more guys would do that, more of the students, it's kind of like we have to take the bullet, in a way. Like even if you don't like it, if you wanna like make it grow, like maybe you should say like, okay man, like I'll do it, not for me, but for my students. Doesn't matter the result, like I just go out there and
Yeah, look, I mean,
ensure like a good jiu-jitsu. And like James says, like it's nice for the guys to see like a high level match and
Yeah.
live, and you know it makes it exciting. Like
you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some.
yes,
You know, at the end of the day, it's about having fun and experience. So, like with regards to competition, some people have got that bug or not. You know, you either a competitor or you're a practitioner. That's not going to change. But in saying what's been happening in the past is just we haven't had any high level competition in terms of what needs to be done with the high level belts. So I just think we need to get people more used to competing at that high level. I mean, I'm a culprit myself. Sometimes I'm just lazy.
Sure.
I don't train, and then you don't compete. So we have to get involved, unfortunately, whether it be on the coaching side, whether it be on the refereeing side, whether it be on the competition side. It's the only way the sport is going to grow. My best thing when we were at Worlds was to sit down on that Thursday, after my matches, and just watch all of the guys, man. They were all high-level black belts going absolutely buck wild on the mats. And that, for me, was the most exciting part of the tournament, So, and also watching the guys that, we've invested in
yes.
and
See like the guys that we see here competing at
at a
big
high level.
stage and see what they can do. And
this here's an example of what SABJJF did last year that not many people know about. We hosted an event over three legs, and those people who won over the 3 legs, we actually paid for all of their trips down to Cape Town in order to enter the UAE JJF trials to get overseas. And Sheena managed to win a ticket. So, and a lot of the guys that we sent down won gold medals. Unfortunately, they didn't all win tickets. Mark Hume, we sent down, he won a ticket. So that's what the SABJJF is doing to get people overseas. If it's small things that we can do, we will try to do that. Sure. Going forward, we want to try bring in, elite events where we have invitationals, which will not force, but, make a vibe for those high-level guys to come get involved and,
yes.
Then display our sport.
Okay. There's obviously around the world, there's a big muttering of Olympics and the big push, especially for jiu-jitsu, to get into the Olympics. That is obviously quite a big goal around the world, but it also brings me to a question: where do you guys fit in with, say, grassroots development? Is there a program at all that's happening now or in the works for the future, bearing in mind that Olympics might be a possibility, or even smaller scale, let's say, if we can call it smaller scale, into like getting, so imagine the headline of a story that a guy that's come from a tough past put through a development program
We've
of
got
jiu-jitsu
Zulu
all the way.
Look at Zulu.
Yeah, it's not really part of any program, but
Yeah.
we did make some moves to
We
send
made
that
we
side,
sent
yeah.
we made sure David made sure one of his students, one of his development program students, well, he's not really a development program, but he's
Now he's
Zulu's-
almost a program developer.
yeah, he's a program developer now, Zulu. So basically, Dave organized for Zulu to get sent overseas, to Worlds with us, and to gain experience, to see. And this is the first time the guy stepped on an airplane to international waters and stuff like that. So with regards to grassroots development, we have aligned ourselves at this point in time with the Sports Jiu-Jitsu International Federation, and they are pushing for Olympics. Whether it's going to happen or not, it's still a very long time.
Yeah, like I don't see it happening in like
Anytime soon.
Anytime soon. Let's say in the next like 20 years it won't happen.
No.
Because let's say what might happen is like they create a different style of jiu-jitsu that's called like Olympic jiu-jitsu, and like different set of rules, because jiu-jitsu it's different. I don't know if it would suit the Olympics. I don't know. For me, it's like I'm not like so hooked on that. Like if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I like it the way it is. But as far as like development things and programs, that can be good, because usually Olympic sports, they get
Funding,
some kind of funding, and they have camps and things like this. But we can do that on our own. Like,
Sure.
let's say if SABJJF really takes off, what we could do is like a little like recruitment, like schools throughout the country, like in the rural areas and things like this, find like raw talents, and we can have, maybe one day we can have like a official SABJJF training camp. So like we find the guys, we send them to a camp, we give them like a couple meals a day, and like all they do is do jiu-jitsu, and can also like learn like some other life skills and help them, like, you know, like that can be done. But I don't think like I think we can do it in a way without government funding, because the moment like you're taking money and like it's government, it starts a lot of politics, and it becomes such a pain. So let's say if we can do that forever without having to take a cent from anyone, just from SABJJF and its sponsors, and have recruitment places and have a center. So let's say guys would come to fight at the Worlds, but they wouldn't be representing Gracie Barra, they wouldn't be representing Alliance or whatever. They would be representing SABJJF or like just South Africa. Like it makes like, and then you could have, let's say, our like national champions like to also join those training camps. Like that's something that's like really interesting to do, especially to give like us a chance, because we're small, so we have like a few high level guys to train with the same mindset, but it's not everybody at our gym. So that's the difference between the guys that like winning and the guys that like just doing okay, because the guys that winning, they train with like 30 other guys that also want to win, also want the same things. So if we could have like a training center, maybe one day, like
that would be good.
we'll get there, you know, like everything will take time, but
Like an
we have
epic
it.
stadium eventually.
yeah,
One
who
day,
knows,
man.
The sky is the limit.
Soccer City's not doing much these days.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go
There you
speak
go,
to
man.
them. Go see if we
Maybe
can rent out that
somebody,
venue.
And then just on jiu-jitsu itself, obviously over the last couple of years there's been this massive, how can we say, like it's been in the spotlight quite hectically. Obviously you've got celebrities joining, guys like Aghion Machado, all these big names, Keanu Reeves, Demi Lovato. And
What's
the list
that Wiz
goes.
Khalifa guy?
Yeah.
Wah, 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 wah. Imagine that shit.
Wiz Khalifa.
You tap him out. Ow!
Drinking some syrup on the mats and
Yeah, exactly.
getting it done. So what do you guys think is behind all of that momentum in jiu-jitsu? Obviously MMA plays its part, but there must be another massive uplifting factor for people to really start seeking out jiu-jitsu.
I think it's what we already said. It's the jiu-jitsu
ethos.
culture. and
Yeah,
it's
the
like,
ethos
like
behind it.
really, jiu-jitsu is just like cool, you know, like I don't know, it's like it's a cool sport. It's like, I don't know, it's like the surfing of the martial arts in a way. Like you know, you go, for example, for like a Sunday open mat, like we live in Joburg, there's no beach here, there's no ocean, but then you go row with your mates, and you break a sweat after you talk, you know, like it's got like a big social side, and also the power that it gives you, because it is like, it's been proven, it's like not me
It's
saying,
not just play,
but like
yeah.
that was the whole point of jiu-jitsu when it started, was to show that like anyone with jiu-jitsu knowledge can beat a untrained person, somebody that doesn't know submissions and doesn't have submission defense. So let's say you take a Demi Lovato, and like now like she's tapping out like brand new like white belts, I don't know, like the guys coming for the first class, and she's tapping out like a man, and she's like, whoa. So like it's like empowering, but not only for girls, for like guys, because a lot of the guys that train jiu-jitsu and succeed, you see guys that weren't successful in other areas because they didn't have the attributes, or they were like kind of shy guys, and then in jiu-jitsu they have a chance. Like it's a huge equalizer. There's this American guy, I think it's the 4th American to win worlds at black belt, is called Mikey Musumeci. If you look at this guy, like he's like, it looks like a geek,
guy, yeah,
like and he is like, cause he's always like saying how much he conciliates jiu-jitsu with school. He's still studying, and he's like, only get like A's. He's like and he is a jiu-jitsu world champion. So like a guy like that, maybe like if he had to do like MMA or boxing, like would be rough for him because of the attributes or because it's not as cerebral. I don't know.
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu gives him that. So like it's the culture, it's the power it gives you, it's the friendships you make. It's like I'm selling it, but like it's
No, but
true.
it's not,
That's why I think I sell it
away
well.
from it.
Yeah, I think that's why like for me in a way like when people I need to convince somebody about not convince but like talk somebody into
Just
like
come try.
trying jiu-jitsu. Like I have a lot of arguments because I believe them in I know it's true. Like it's just I've seen it, so it's very nice. Like
Sure. I think Eddie Bravo described it quite well, saying that jiu-jitsu is creating nerd assassins. All over the world.
That's it, 100%. I mean, most of us will want to go home and play TV games afterwards, but I can tell you that.
You see, Eddie Bravo has like these also like little kids, like little girls, like they fighting like at his competition EBI, and they do like crazy stuff that like adults can do it. And you have the Mendes brothers also. You see like the team, like they have kids that like they 12, 13-year-olds that they could like
no, they'll kill us.
Destroy people.
They'll kill me. Baron
They'll
Bowler me on my
spin around you and
I'll
like
tell you that.
spider monkey like
Yeah.
so
100%.
Cool.
It's
It's-
really cool.
Yeah, that's. I think you've done jiu-jitsu a good service there, Dave. They've
Yeah,
sold it
I
quite
hope
well.
so, man.
just on closing, back to SABJJF. What is the ultimate goal? What is the end product you guys are after? Obviously, it's you've taken a step in a long walk, which I think we've discovered. But what is ultimately your guys' end goal? When will you sit back and look back and say, look, geez, we've achieved this?
1,000 entrants.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's like so much of an end goal because jiu-jitsu won't stop growing.
Yeah.
So let's say the end goal is to at
1,000
least like
entrants.
kind of catch up to countries that are like
Yeah, 100%.
are doing well. Let's say catch up with like
UK's got a
yeah,
big
not even
basis.
like it will be hard. Like for example, in the Brazilian nationals this year, we had like 5,000 entrants.
Yeah.
Maybe we won't get that far, but we can get to the same level as like Australia, as the
Definitely.
UK. Like Angola has a really good jiu-jitsu scene. They send people overseas. They have champions. So let's say we're not that far in terms of level of like we do have guys that could fight those guys and do well, but like in terms of structure and like competitions and all that, we're way behind. So maybe like not the end goal, but like a goal is to catch up, like
Yeah.
to be able to
And also host some of the best events in Africa, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. I mean, that's pretty much all we want to do is, we started the SABJJF because there was a lack of good quality events. When we say good quality events, I'm talking about from the way that the refs are dressed to the way that you weigh in. It all should be done in a very professional manner.
Sure.
And the only way we're going to get there is by investing ourselves into the sport. So where do we want to see Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or SABJJF in the next 10 years? On an international level, where we're sending 17, 18 to 20 people over to worlds, whether it be IBJJF, whether it be UAE JJF, or whatever JJF there is.
there's lots of
There's
JJFs.
plenty
JJS.
JJFs. Yeah, there's
JJ,
so with
whatever,
regards
yeah.
to where the end goal is to have a united community. First of all, everybody must be on the same page. All of the high level guys must be putting or investing themselves back into the sport, regardless whether it be financial gain or personal gain. Invest in the sport, because at the end of the day, it's not going away. If anything, it's
It's here to stay.
it's creating it's creating a lot of hype. It's showing the way with regards to where federation should be in South Africa. How does a silly little jiu-jitsu federation, garner 40,000 rand? Purely because we reinvest. That's all.
Sure. Well, I commend you guys on all the work you're doing. You mentioned professionalism. Look, I think you guys are running a hell of a professional show. The competitions, I was really taken, like took my breath away at how smooth and how professionally things were done. I mean, I've played some sort of sports all over the place and all sorts of clubs, and
what you just said there is why we do it.
no, 100%.
You
man,
know,
and it's,
for a white belt to say that
Sure.
to us, then I know, Dave, we've done our job.
that's all, man. And it was, you know, like it really, there was a great atmosphere. It wasn't kind of like, oh, you know, the competition didn't go the way I planned. Now what do? I don't ever want to come back again. You know, there's enough environment to keep you going. Everything is like, you know, you want to be part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you get, and you're like, you know, you want to be part of this. There's a cool thing happening here, and you want to get better at it and keep coming back. And I think that's important. And I think anybody who's tinkering on the idea of popping down to see what jiu-jitsu is all about, man, there's so many personal stories to find in jiu-jitsu if you just look for them. You know what I mean? If you just pay a little bit of attention and listen to what people are saying. You know, there's a reason why people are talking about jiu-jitsu non-stop, and you'll only understand that once you're there. You know what I mean? It took me a while to discover it, and it took me a while to understand what everyone was going on about. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it came like a wave, and now I'm a gym rat like anybody else. You know what I mean? Like I just can't get enough. You know. So again, I commend you guys on your work, and it's exciting, man. I look forward to see what the future brings, and all the best with the federation. And yeah, we here, my little small section of media, if you guys ever need help, we here, man. We'll do whatever we can. And thanks for coming through.
Thanks
Thanks
a lot.
very much, and we'll give you death cuddles on the match.
Sweet.
You know that well.
We're out.